Thank you for taking your time.
Oh, my pleasure.
Why you wrote this Motivation 3.0 in Japanese, in English Drive?
Yes.
Because actually this kind of the concept it exists for 100 years. Why this time you wrote this book? Is that first?
Okay. I think it's interesting because you're right that some of this science started last century. If you know, what I did is I looked at the whole body of science on human motivation, and some of it began in the 1940s. I think, and there have been, and other people have written about this in the 1950s and 1960s. I think the big change is the change in the nature of work. That is, in the most of the 20th century, people were doing relatively routine work, whether it's turning the same screw the same way on an assembly line, or adding up columns of figures in an office. And for that kind of work, this Motivation 2.0 approach is okay.
Efficiency is most important.
It's efficiency. It's exactly right. It's a very efficient way to do things. It's doing things in a certain order, doing it the right way, and for that kind of work, that approach to motivation works okay. The problem is that few people in Japan or in the U.S. are doing that kind of work. They're not doing that routine algorithm work. They're doing work that requires creativity, work that requires complexity, work that is conceptual. And suddenly what we knew in science becomes more relevant today because the way we're working has changed so dramatically. The problem is that we're still stuck in that old way of doing things. So you have some questions about that. We're still stuck in that old way of doing things. And what's frustrating is that when we see that Motivation 2.0 approach,
it dominates the...
Yeah, but when we see it fail, when we see it demonstrably fail before our eyes, our response isn't to say, "Oh man, it didn't work. Maybe we should try something new." We say, "Oh no, those carrots and sticks, the ameto muchi, didn't work. Maybe we should try something else." We don't say that. We say, "Oh, it didn't work. Looks like we need more carrots. Looks like we need sharper sticks. Looks like we need some more muchi. Looks like we need some more ame," and it's just taking us down the wrong path. And the good news is that the science, which, as you say, began emerging a fairly long time ago, offers a solution. There are relatively few companies that are using that 3.0 system, and the ones that are doing pretty well. So you have companies like this Australian software company called Atlassian that does these FedEx days. One day, sort of like now, on Thursday afternoon, they say that once a quarter, they say to their people, "Go work on anything you want. Do it however you want, with whoever you want. The only thing we ask is that you show what you've created on Friday afternoon to the rest of the company." They call it, as you know, they call these FedEx days because you have to deliver something overnight. Well, it turns out that huge numbers of innovations are coming from that. So these techniques are working. They're working at big companies like Google and Best Buy. They're working at a whole range of smaller companies. The trouble is that, as you say, most companies are doing it the old way.
I think one of the reasons why these companies are so successful is that they attract this kind of talented people other than companies. So therefore, the liquidity of the labor market is one of the reasons.
Sure. I think that's right. I think that they do attract people. If you have a choice of where you want to work, do you want to work in a place where your boss is always trying to control you, where your boss is yelling at you and telling you exactly what to do, and the work has no purpose? Or do you want to work at a place where you have some autonomy, where you're able to learn new things, and where what you do matters? It's an easy decision.